Coming back from a trip, I found my bags lined up on the sidewalk just like that with a note pinned to one suitcase. It said, "If you want to stay here, we have the garage. Love, your daughter-in-law." I stared at those 4 suitcases, rain starting to fall, and honestly, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Let me back up a sec. I'd spent a week visiting my sister in Seattle, dreaming of nothing but sinking into my favorite armchair with a cup of tea. Instead, I got locked out of my own home, the house I'd lived in for 35 years. Thomas, my late husband, and I built that house together when our son Ryan was just a baby. We planted every tree, picked every detail. It was our family's heart. After Thomas passed 2 years ago, I agreed Legalitos sign the house over to Ryan and his wife, Chelsea. But here's the kicker. I was still the one quietly paying the mortgage. That's right, every month, nearly $2,000 out of my account. I even called the bank before the taxi showed up to be sure. Yep, my automatic payment went through just last Friday. So there I was, 68 years old, standing in the rain, looking at my life packed in boxes labeled Mom's stuff in Chelsea's handwriting. The garage door was unlocked, and inside was a tiny mattress shoved against the wall, a lamp, a nightstand, my new bedroom. My clothes hung on a rack, my books and photos boxed up. I sank down, the cold concrete floor under my feet, and through the small window, I could see the house where I'd raised my son and buried my husband, where I was suddenly no longer welcome. My phone buzzed. It was Ryan. "Mom, we need the space. Chelsea's been asking for a home office for months. The garage apartment has everything you need. Don't make this difficult. Don't make this difficult." Yeah, that happened. I thought about all those sleepless nights when Ryan had asthma attacks, the second job I took to pay for his college when Thomas's business struggled, the weekends babysitting the grandkids so Ryan and Chelsea could have couple time. And now, I was just a burden, shoved into a garage like yesterday's trash. I didn't reply. Instead, I called Susan, my oldest friend. "Linda, what's wrong?" she said, immediately sensing something was off. "They put me in the garage," I said, barely able to get it out. "I need a place to stay." No questions from her, just, "I'll be there in 20 minutes. While I waited, sitting on that mattress, surrounded by my boxed-up life, I made a choice. This house wasn't just a building. It was my blood, sweat, and tears for 35 years. And now, they thought they could just toss me aside. When Susan arrived, she brought her nephew Brian, a lawyer, though he didn't look the part. Jeans, casual shirt, more professor vibe than courtroom drama, but his eyes were sharp. He looked over my mortgage statements, then said, "So, you've been paying on a house no longer in your name, while your son and daughter-in-law live there rent-free and plan to sell it. And they kicked you out to the garage." I nodded, cheeks burning with shame I didn't deserve. Brian explained the financial situation could count as a verbal contract and that I might have legal grounds to recover those mortgage payments. Susan, quiet until then, insisted I confront them first, though give Ryan one last chance. Next day, heart pounding, I rang the doorbell in my own home. Chelsea answered with that fake smile. "Linda, we weren't expecting you." I told her, "I need to talk with you and Ryan." She stepped aside, and I walked in, feeling like a stranger in my own house. The living room was rearranged again. My reading lamp gone, family photos tampered with, pictures of Thomas missing. Ryan appeared, wiping his hands on a dish towel. "Mom, what are you doing here?" he asked, eyes avoiding mine. "I came to talk about the house." Susan had told me they were planning to sell. The way Ryan and Chelsea exchanged looks confirmed it. "We were going to tell you once it was finalized," Ryan said, sounding like a rehearsed apology. "Finalized?" I repeated. "This was my home for 35 years, the place I built, the place I loved." Chelsea sighed. "Linda, we know you're attached, but we need to do what's best for our family now." "My family," I echoed. "And what am I then?" Ryan said, with that patronizing tone, "You signed the house over. It's ours now. We decide." I took a deep breath, voice trembling but steady. "I've been paying the mortgage for 2 years, $1,867 a month. Every single month." They glanced at each other like I was making it up. "That was your choice," Chelsea said coolly. "We never asked you to do that." "I did it because that's what family does," I said. Ryan nodded, but the gratitude sounded fake. "Legally, the house is ours. Your 35 years, your money, none of it changes that. I was shaking. Mom, you're making this harder than it needs to be. We can help you find a nice senior apartment. I don't need a senior apartment, I snapped. I need my son to show some decency and respect. Chelsea stepped forward, fake concern dripping. Linda, maybe we should talk later when you're less emotional. That was it. The son I raised was gone. A stranger in his place. I stopped the mortgage payments, I said quietly. Ryan's face dropped. You what? If you want to sell my home, you'll have to pay for it yourselves. Chelsea's voice rose. What about our credit? We have plans. I said, I hear Oakwood Hills is lovely this time of year. Ryan's face darkened. Mom, the house was Dad's gift to me. It was never really yours. Those words hit me like a punch. Never really yours. 35 years, dismissed like a bad joke. I turned to leave, unsteady on my feet. At the door, I paused, looked back. Your father would be ashamed. And for the first time, so am I. I closed the door softly behind me. That afternoon, armed with Brian's advice and Susan's support, I did something unexpected. I applied for a job. I saw a help wanted sign at Rosie's Cafe on my way to Susan's. You want to wait tables? Susan asked, eyebrows raised. I was a waitress in college. I reminded her. I need my own income, my own life. I can't hide out forever. 2 days later, I worked my first shift. My feet ached, my back screamed, but the tips I earned were mine. I hadn't felt that kind of satisfaction in years. When I got home, exhausted but alive, I saw 6 missed calls from Ryan. The first voicemail, Mom, the bank called about the mortgage. They mentioned a lien. What are you doing? Call me back now. I deleted the rest without listening. For once, Ryan could wait. Susan brought me wine on the porch swing. How does it feel? She asked. I watched the sunset pink and gold splashing across the sky. Like I'm finally waking up, I said. Like I've been sleepwalking since Thomas died. And now you're Linda again, Susan smiled. 3 weeks in, Rosie's became my routine. My tips were small but steady. I had purpose again. So when Ryan showed up awkwardly by the hostess stand, my heart skipped. Mom, he said softly. Can we talk? I nodded, taking him to a quiet booth. You look different, he said. I am different. He launched into the house again, but I cut him off. Not here. If that's why you came, you're wasting your time. He begged, desperate. Chelsea and I are in trouble. The bank called about the lien. Our credit scores are dropping. I looked at him, expensive watch, styled hair, cologne worth more than I make a day living comfortably on my sacrifice. What do you want? I asked. We need you to lift the lien and pay the mortgage until we sell the house, he said, audacity dripping. And what do I get? We'll make sure you're taken care of. There's a nice senior community in Westbrook. Stop, I said, raising my hand. I've been taking care of myself and you for years. I'm not interested. Ryan's face hardened. You can't keep working here. You're almost 60. 58, I corrected. And I'm doing just fine. Ryan's mask slipped. Fine, what do you want? A cut of the sale. I stared at this stranger wearing my son's face. I want my home back. He blinked, then laughed nervously. That's impossible. We've already made an offer on a house in Oakwood Hills. Not my problem, I said. His face darkened. It's your problem if you want a relationship with your granddaughter, with any of us. His threat hung in the air, ugly and raw, using my love for his daughter as leverage. He looked ashamed, but pushed on. Families need to support each other. Chelsea and I have plans, and you're standing in the way. I thought about the college tuition I paid, the weekends with the grandkids, the mortgage I kept up while they bought a boat. Ryan flushed. That's not fair. No, it's not, I said. My break was over. I stood, straightened my apron. I need to get back to work. Mom, please, his voice cracked. We need this. Oakwood Hills is perfect. We can't lose it. For a moment, I saw the boy who used to climb into my lap, but he was gone. In his place, a man who saw me as a means to an end. I'll think about it, I said, but I need it in writing from you and Chelsea. Meet me at Brian Wallace's office tomorrow at 2. Relief softened Ryan's face. Thank you, Mom. You won't regret this. As he left, I wondered if I already did. Next day, at Brian's office, Ryan and Chelsea arrived dressed for business. Chelsea smiled tight, but triumphant. Thank you for coming. Mrs. Harris has considered your request, Brian said, sliding a paper across the desk. Ryan's face shifted from hope to confusion to fury. What is this? That's my condition for lifting the lien, I said calmly. I'll resume mortgage payments, but the house will be sold to minute strangers. Chelsea snatched the paper. Ridiculous. You want us to sell you the house for what you owe on the mortgage? It's worth at least 3 times that. It's worth exactly what I put into it, I replied. 35 years of payments, repairs, memories. Ryan's face reddened. You can't do this. The house is legally ours. With a lien on it, Brian added, which complicates any sale. Chelsea snapped. We'll get our own lawyer. Go ahead, I said. The process will take months, maybe years. Your credit will drop. That dream home? It'll be sold long before you get a ruling. Ryan muttered. You planned this from the start, moving me to the garage. No, I said quietly. I just finally stopped letting myself be used. Chelsea stood bravely. We need to talk privately. They left. Brian gave me a nod. You're doing the right thing. Minutes later, Ryan returned, face grim. We'll accept your offer, he said stiffly. But I hope you realize what this means for our relationship. I do, I said steady. And I hope someday you realize what it meant when you put my suitcases on the sidewalk. So, besties, if this story hit you hard, made you think about family, respect, or just dissident, just scroll by. Drop a comment with the city you're watching from, so I know how far this message's reach is. Hit subscribe for more raw stories about betrayal, resilience, karma, and triumph. Don't forget that bell icon, because your story isn't over, and neither is your power. Stay strong, stay bold, and keep speaking your truth.